Time for the big reveal. I hadn't really planned on making a mold of this, I was just going to make one. But I really liked the way it looked. I would have been heartbroken if I lost it. Not to mention, I mean, you guys probably want to fish with one of these, right? Like, I'm noticing a lot of my baits turned out to be topwaters, but it's kind of what I like. And there we go. Alright, it doesn't look too bad. Still have to clean that hole up, but at least I've got it marked. I think that looks pretty good, actually. Now I gotta figure out where I'm gonna put the torch boat. Worried about air bubbles, but if this pour location does work, it's the easiest for cleanup and prep for painting. I try to take that into account now when I'm making these. That side looks okay. And it didn't fill. I don't know if that's because... Damn. I don't know if that's because I ran out of material. In the middle of my pour. I was worried with the burping that was going on. Well, again, I don't know that I'm gonna sell these. It's not where I'd want the seam. I don't know why it's so far off. Other than I just didn't do it right, I guess. I had a center line marked. Okay, we'll try it again. Look at that, okay. So that one worked out better. Don't have to change the mold, that's encouraging. I'm gonna make a few of these, we're gonna put some hardware on them, and we're gonna paint them up. I still don't like the seam. Anyways, we got this stuff heating up. It's not there yet. But we'll put some lead right in that hole there. Should make, instead of the bait sitting perfectly level, it's going to make it sit slightly up. Not a lot, just a little bit. And that's going to help that bait change directions. Versus if it was sitting straight, it just... See. I have a little sexy shad pattern on that guy. I don't know about that one yet. I'm gonna do an old-fashioned red and white one on this one. Got a few other baits. I'm gonna go home back to Kansas for a couple days coming up here. So trying to get a few baits ready before I go. Not that you guys care. But anyways, here is my mess. Let the painting continue. This is what I'm talking about as far as an old school red and white. It's very traditional. Some of these old baits have it too that I've got. So we're gonna do that. Make one old school.
Dreams in your...
Welcome to part 2 of the chili dog, I guess, as well as some other lures to test. Look at all these things just ready to go. But we've got some somewhat different weighted ones. They're all fairly close, but it's a moment of truth. Let's see how the action works. Well, it does float and seems to want to change directions. Okay, so option number 2 is weighted a little bit different, and it swims different. I kind of like it better. It's got a little bit more weight in the back end. Painted this one kind of an old school paint scheme, that red and white. Caught up on the hook, what's going on? It was swimming great a second ago. One of the cool things about these baits is they weigh almost an ounce, even though they're kind of a smaller topwater size as far as length. They really have quite a bit of weight to them. This one really dances all over the place. Pops up out of the water. Quick changes of directions, which is what I wanted. I think I might need to put the weight further back yet, or maybe a little more weight further back. Probably put a second weight further back. It still wants to go nose down sometimes. Alright everyone, it's time for the moment of truth. So we're gonna test the adjustments we made to the topwater walking bait. We're gonna call it the chili dog. So originally the weight was just here, and when I'm not adding a ton of weight, I don't always heat up the lead pot. These are actually lead birdshot that's in here. Kind of lets me measure how much I'm putting in here a little better than drops of lead too. So I kind of dispersed it a little bit to try to get it a little bit more weight back here, but I don't want just all the weight back here because then it's going to want to sit like straight up and down like that. So I tried to get it to where it's going to hopefully just sit nose out of the water about like that, and it should change directions pretty good. So let's start with the old one. I'm going to throw it on a different rod because I think it may have been a little bit of the issue too, as I had it on fluorocarbon, like 14-pound fluorocarbon. So let's get some action here and see what it looks like. So kind of an unintended side effect of making a lure this heavy. If I wanted to, I could keep my rod tip low and really work this bait fast and probably get it to be a subsurface back and forth, walk the dog too. So I can add just a little bit more weight and maybe change the overall design a little bit to make it a little more stable. But we could make this a subsurface bait too, not just topwater. I think that looks good. So yeah, we're still gonna make a couple adjustments to it, but overall I think I've pretty much figured out where I need the weight to be, the majority of the weight to be, and also how to make sure that they're balanced right, as far as left and right, and going the same amount both directions. You notice I also changed the placement of the line tie, because if you want, you can bend that back and forth to make the bait go further left and right. Anyways, we've got some painting to do, but let me know, like, this is just the plain color of the resin. I think this is pretty close to bone color. If you guys like this natural look, leave a comment down below. It doesn't have to have a super fancy paint job all the time to catch fish. So I'm gonna throw this bait around a little bit. It's kind of late for a topwater bite, but I just want to test it a little bit more, and let's see if we can't trick a fish on it. There's lots of different ways that you can fish this, but the way I was taught to fish topwater back when I was a kid was throw it out and let it sit until all the rings around it are gone. Just let it sit there. But then you're going to twitch it along. So it's a technique and a cadence of reeling in a little bit of line at a time and twitching your rod tip at the same time. It takes a little while to figure it out for some people, but it's really not difficult. See how I'm continuing to reel just a little bit as I'm twitching my rod. But what makes it dart left and right is actually a little bit, you can see there's slack in the line, right? It's not a tight line. If I try to do that on a tight line, the bait's just going to pull straight. So to get it to change directions, it needs to have just a little bit of give as you're twitching that rod, and you have to keep that same amount of slack in the line the entire time you're bringing it in to get it to walk. There's lots of people, I'm sure, that have made videos out there on how to walk the dog. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but you can see it creates a really erratic action, makes the bait dart around, and whenever you come past a piece of cover, make a bunch of commotion and let that bait pause next to that cover. If there's a fish that's going to come up and get it, it'll normally happen right after it's paused and you twitch it again. That's when they'll come out and get it. It'll trigger that strike. So, you know, I guess this just looks like a struggling bait fish. I've caught fish on topwater forever, and I don't normally see fish swimming around on top of the water, so I'm not sure exactly what it is that they look at that and think that it's food or something trying to get away. But you know, a lot of times in fishing it's about edges. If you can cover your edges, whether that's an edge of a grass line or rocks, in this case the surface is an edge, right? The bottom is an edge. So if you can eliminate an edge, if we're not going to catch anything on top water today, then I could go fish something on the bottom. Okay, well, if that doesn't work, there's only a few other places, and if they're suspended, they're going to need some type of cover, something hard that they're going to want to sit on, or a bush, or some kind of shade on a bright sunny day like this, a dock, whatever it might be. But fishing edges is important, and this is a good way that you can actually cover quite a bit of water. You know, fishing a bigger body of water. but not just cover water, cover an edge of the water, and either figure out that that's where they are that day or eliminate that water and move on to fishing a different type of bait. So it's still got a little bit of work to do. The lead BBs aren't perfectly ideal, but I wanted to try to make a walking bait before I made a popping bait. That'll be one of the upcoming videos. I'm not going to tell you about it just yet, but I've got a cool little popper I'm going to make for you guys with an even better name. So, look forward to that. You guys my helpers? Are you helping me? Are you shy? Got my little shop helpers out here. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this lure build. I know I'm probably not going to produce these baits and sell them on a regular basis just because there are so many good companies out there that already make this. Again, I wanted to make this one for me. This is one of my favorite ways to fish. I know a lot of people that are professional fishermen, that are really good fishermen. Topwater fishing is one of their favorite ways to catch fish, but if you're new to fishing, it's a really good way to catch fish too, because you actually get to see the fish strike the bait. There's no guessing, or I don't know if that was a bite or the bottom or a rock or whatever. So I hope the little tutorial I made with how to retrieve the bait to get it to walk the dog helps a little bit. There's all sorts of YouTube channels that are professional fishermen or guys that actually get out to fish every day that have made videos on that do a good job explaining it. And, you know, I'm by no means a professional fisherman, but I've been tricking fish this way for a long time, and it works really good. Thank you so much again, everybody. Thanks for hanging in there with us. We're going to have a lot more awesome content coming. We've got more lures coming, and hopefully some really big fish catches on them in the very near future. So thank you again, and we'll see you soon.
Best food baits.
Hey, looks like somebody left a treat for you over here. What'd they leave you? Is that beans?
I think it's dog.
It's dog. It's choice cuts.
Good stuff.
Oh yeah.